Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Big O Part 2 or Season 2, depending on your particular viewpoint of it. But before that, we were talking about electric bikes, the Rad Runner 2. We were talking about some really insanely expensive but yet beautiful vehicles that I will never be able to afford in my wildest dreams.
Yeah, serious.
As well as some interesting coincidences on the pre-show. If you want to catch a part of that water conversation, patreon.com/featured anime podcast, $8 a month will get you that bonus content and more. Now on to the meat and potatoes. Big O Part 2 came out from January 2003 to March 2003. Producers for Bandai Visual, Studio 4 to Sunrise, just like in the first part of it. Genres are action, mystery, sci-fi, mecha, psychological. It is an original, and it is 13 episodes. So you and I both, we were hoping for a different opening in part 2, right?
We got it.
No, I mean like the opening scene, the opening
Oh, yeah.
music, right?
Yep.
That never happened. And at least on the ones that I saw. And the reason why is because I saw all the remastered versions. So the ones that we saw, part 1, part 2, where the beginning was completely different, is because those are remastered.
Oh, those are the originals?
No, those are the remastered.
Oh,
the original is the one that you and I remember. So in 2007,
Gotcha, yeah.
they did a re-release where it was like season 1 and 2 together. And the opening that we were watching, that is the opening that they replaced it with.
Interesting.
Which,
Big O, Big O, Big O, Big O. Yeah, what's a good theme song? Let's try to source this. See what comes back. Oh, just the title over and over and over again? That seems okay. We'll go with that.
right?
They don't make them like they used to. That's for damn sure.
Right.
I actually got into a conversation. I know it's a small sidetrack. I know, but give me 1 second. Have you heard the entire Pokemon song opener?
Yes.
That thing kicks. I didn't realize that it was so good, but like, the whole song itself, amazing. I loved it. It was one of the ones that I played very recently for my fiance, and we ended up jamming out to that and trying to find others that were just as good.
So
for no reason. You shouldn't have that good of a song as an opener for a cartoon.
yeah, you should. I mean, like, it's what helps set the mood for it. And depending on the opening, it can either make or break it.
Yeah. Okay. But it definitely made it for me. Like I saw it, I listened to it, it encouraged me to start watching it again. It was that good.
Right. So here's my thing, right? For the show. If you are gonna redo a song, redo an opening, like what they did for Big O,
okay,
make it better. Don't make it worse.
Right? Yeah.
And
if you don't like something, don't break it down. Build it up.
Right. I mean, like, and granted, for them, they may have done just that. They probably said, this is what we want. This is the, we really dig this song. We really dig this opening. And I didn't dig it. I hated it. I thought it was trash. But that's me.
No, it's not just you. It should be just you, but it's not.
So Big O Part 2. It really honestly just continues off where we were left off on part 1, which is Roger Smith coming back or not coming back, but him being attacked by the robot, being saved by Big O and Dorothy. And it also at the same time sets it up like, oh, he's going through his own like process. Like, oh, am I really here? Am I in a story? Am I in a, like, what's going on? What's happening type thing? It's the flow,
it read like a really bad acid trip.
Right. What I didn't like is it was so jarring from season 1 to season 2, part 1 to part 2, in the flow, the dynamics and everything like that. It was so jarring. It did not feel like it was natural. It felt like,
no,
it felt like they were told, hey, we'll go ahead. We'll let you come back, do another 13 episodes just so you can close it out. but you got to close all those doors that you're opening. And so they just frantically started, doing whatever they could to start creating new plot lines and closing them out, and then trying to create this, buzz around everything, and they kept referencing to those you remember those kids, the egghead kids?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they kept referencing and showing them and everything like that, and they kept showing those egghead kids like he was a part of them, and he wasn't.
He wasn't?
He wasn't.
I thought he was the tall kid, mysterious kid that they never
No.
showed the face of.
No, they showed the face of the kid.
The tall dude, the tall one that
Yeah.
was always shadowed.
Yeah, they showed him.
Oh, okay.
That was Alex Rosewater.
I must have missed that.
Yeah, like straight up, that was him. And
He was the tall, egg-headed kid.
yeah, he
Okay.
Roger
I'll trust you on that.
Roger wasn't, because if you remember, when they're in the basement or wherever the hell they are,
Mm-hmm.
you see the picture that's kind of torn in two,
Yep.
and Roger's standing there with the dad or whatever,
Mhm.
shaking his hands when his dad was still really young, when all this was still going on. Like, so you're kind of like at the very beginning,
Oh.
you're given all these
Okay.
questions, and you're not given any answers, because you have, old dude with the book who wrote his name on it, Gordon Rosewater, saying one thing, and you're being told another thing, and then you're also being shown kind of like a play. It's like, oh, Roger Smith is actually here, and so the building he's in is a bank, and you're shown live before the whole events that had transpired, and you're kind of given information on that. But is he like actually just really homeless and doesn't understand what the hell's going on, and is he just like off his rocker, or are we in like this parallel world type thing, right? And he's just trying to figure out what's going out, or was he just like injected with some hallucinogen and just doesn't understand what's going on or what's happening?
I don't know, man. Like, if season 1 was crap. I had the name on the tip of my tongue. Something noir.
El Noir?
What was it?
El Noir?
Maybe it's like it's a genre of something like that. Whereas noir was a type of story style.
Mm-hmm.
The first part was basically Batman suave and cool, calm, collected,
Well, you
fairly
still,
straightforward story.
you still
Second
had
season,
this. You still had that for this, but what they did was they decided to go
the
the
rest
Buffy the
overshadowed that.
vampire
Yeah,
route
well,
for it with it.
the second half of the story was very muddled and very convoluted. They still had the suave, I am the negotiator, that all that stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it didn't. They tried to fit 24 episodes into 6, and I know that it's a 12 episode series or
13.
13 episode thing right there, but just bear with me, because only 6 episodes follow his story, super condensed. Everything else was a subplot that we really didn't care about.
Well, that, or they introduced characters, or
Yeah, one-off characters that didn't really need to push the story.
right, just in general, like they started focusing more on Alex Rosewater. They focused on Dorothy a little bit more too, so it's not that you aren't really given an answer, it's that you're just not told.
Well, and then they do a really good job of shifting the opinion of who's actually the bad guy. And then when they shift it to Alex Rosewater, they end up humanizing him enough to where you're like, I guess I can understand why he's doing that. And then they shift it to then just as soon as you reach that point, they're like, huh, just kidding, he's a piece of shit. And you're
Right.
like,
Well, not
why
only
would you
that,
take all that time to give me this opinion only to 2 seconds after it's achieved just dash it? It's a waste of time.
then you had someone that's kind of like a Stripes. He's called Alan or something like that or whatever, and he's he's kind of part of the sect called the Union, and at the same time he's not. He's part android, part not. He laughs kind of like the Joker, so it's
Mhm.
like kind of like the Joker, but at the same time he's also kind of like the the Riddler or someone else. So he like kind of took up the mantle for the Joker type thing. Feeling is what I got for it.
I just saw him as a bloodthirsty person given an opportunity to kill with someone else.
Right.
Um,
And then, you know, you still had the
telling him it's okay.
Scarecrow telling,
Yeah.
showing up still
But didn't he
occasionally, but
die?
then he died, but he wasn't dead. He kept showing up, but he was dead type thing.
Yeah, and they're like, he died a while ago, but guess what? His essence came back, and like the soul lives on, and then they immediately go back to, you know, only certain things have souls, and then they go, well, souls don't really exist because now androids could have them. So what is a soul? And you're like, and then Big O has a soul. Big O has desire. Big O has certain things that he wants to go with, and then you find out that I don't know if you find out, or maybe I just assumed it, but the big O's and the big mechs are essentially parasitic creatures.
Well,
Like, they have their own idea,
They can be
yeah,
parasitic creatures.
they'll suck you dry.
They
All your
can
fluid, all your
be.
life energy.
It can be. Whoa. We're never given definites. Like we just know what happens to oh dude, whatever his name is, Alan or something or another.
Yeah.
Right.
When they're not compatible, they literally drain you of all life essence.
Right. But
And even Roger, he was like, Big O, if you do this, you and I will become one. You and I will we will cease being two separate
hang on.
entities.
He doesn't say that. He goes, "Do you really want to do that? Do you want us to become having a discussion with the robot because he's getting beaten to a pulp by Alex, who is becoming
one.
Yeah, you know, becoming.
I mean, I get that. I mean, maybe it's a power up of sorts, but there was a movie I watched once, and it reminded me of a scene in there where the movie took place in a jail, and this guy put a cross on the electric chair, and I guess that made the whole prison haunted. The guy was trying to escape through the wires, and the wires just literally did what's on screen, just went into his body and started killing him and sucking him dry like that. And this is what that's what I was thinking here. And then when that happened, when those needles essentially got poked into the back, I realized they kind of flashed Angel on there, but it made me think she was originally a pilot.
Yeah.
She was a survivor that happened, that a mech.
Same thing with Roger, you know, like
but he never had the scars on his back.
Right, but that doesn't mean anything because they showed like an entire armada fleet full of people with him too. So it doesn't like you're never given answers. The only thing you're ever shown, the only thing you're ever told about is like how he's, you know, the negotiator. He's been around, he had an original contract, and then you have Angel who's like rolling in with a white version of Big O rolling in at the end, just kind of confusing everything else, and it just like
made everything seem like it's a hologram.
Yeah, and
that would make perfect sense. And like, here's the thing that gets me.
It's not that everything's a hologram. It's everything's a stage play. Like this whole thing is just for show. Like none of this is actually happening.
Explain to me why they would take the effort to come in and show a large mech repairing everything. The issue I had with the first season was that how are they building these things back up after Big O destroys them? And boom, the second season, you got this mech that was repairing all the buildings, that was building them back up very quickly. Now, boom, okay, cool. That answers my question there, which is what you said before. They answered a bunch of questions and then just started running down a hallway, opening and closing the same door. Like, oh, there's a story here. Let's just show you what it looks like and then close the door to finish it, not really giving it much substance.
Well, it's not. You also have to keep in mind that it's been 2 years since they started writing season 1 and season 2, and they were probably given a very short time frame. Because also at the same time, you have to remember that our major, in between season 1, season 2, he got a promotion to colonel. Like there was this battle going on. And while the battle was going on in between season 1 and season 2, someone came out. They're like, hey, Major, you're now a colonel. Everyone's going to know you as colonel. There's not going to be any confusion as to it or reference to you getting this magical promotion. and then move on with their lives. And that's exactly what happened. And it's the same thing for a lot of other stuff is like,
You think
okay,
they're trying
they
to
kept
imply
showing
that?
for season 2, they kept showing the old man like repairing Big O by himself, right?
And then
And then you all of a sudden you're shown an entire group of people that just start like secret handshakes, secret high fives, secret hellos, all this other stuff, raising their hands like, hey, how you doing, let's all get together type of stuff, getting together and being buddies and friends and everything else, and showing up
it
and
just
they're helping repair Big O.
the only thing I can think of is there's maybe an episode we're missing where life goes on. You know what I mean? Like there's a lull. It's obviously not all action packed, but maybe there was like a month in between episode whatever and whatever where they do recruit experts out of nowhere and train them out of nowhere, and no one in in season 1, everyone was like, "Who's piloting Big O? It's a mystery. It's a conundrum." In season 2, they're like, "Oh, hey, Roger, what's up? Nice mech."
Well, it's not even just that in season 1. What they did in season 1, they kind of blended it. They knew it was him, but they didn't know it was him. They kind of felt like it was him, but they kind of felt like it wasn't him. And then season 2, they just like threw that caution to the wind. They're like, everyone knows it's him. Everyone knows who it is. And apparently it's no longer just like him that can call it. And he just has one special watch. He has
he had a briefcase full.
Got a ton of watches, and if anyone gets their hand on one of the watches, it doesn't really matter, or this, that. And there was just, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like we were done a disservice with the second part
100%.
because you no longer had the Big O. You no longer had that, and then they kept calling him the what was it? Damascus, Dominican, something like Dominican, Durgala, something like that, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I could be this guy too, and blah 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 blah. And I don't know. It's like they kept having inconsistencies. For example, here's another one. Remember when you had those like spider claw things, whatever, rolling along the building? Then all of a sudden they're climbing up the side of the building, right?
Spider or scorpion?
Scorpion.
Okay.
Thing. Robot tank thing.
Yeah.
And then after they capture said target, right? They just straight up fly away. Like, wait, like, hold up. You rolled through the streets. You used winches and things like that to climb up the side of a building.
Uh-huh.
You were crawling all the way through this building. You grabbed Dorothy, grabbed your target, and then you just decide, yeah, this is a great time to fly away, and that's what you do. That's your goal in life. Like that you could have like swarmed the building from top, landed there, not have to climb up the side of the building, go in there, grab what you wanted, and get out before anyone was any wiser.
That wouldn't make a good story. To be fair, second season wasn't a good story. But
to be fair, the whole thing wasn't a good story. But that's
here's where I might be able to save it using logic.
Right? But by all means, please impart on to me.
They were conserving fuel. They didn't know how long it would take to get to the target.
And
once they got the target, they're like, okay, cool. Hit the extraction zone ASAP, Rocky, as fast as possible. What's the fastest way? Thrusters. All right, cool. Got the target. Go, go, go. Whereas
yeah, but there's no people in there. It's all robots. I don't think it really matters. You could it doesn't matter at that.
Might be running off. They might not be running off batteries. They might be running off a gas tank. Might be like, all right, cool. We've got a full gas tank. This is good for at least 3 hours. We don't know how long it's going to take. Everyone go. Quick, retreat. Get out of there. Eject.
Okay. Well, I mean, like if there's no people in there, I mean, like eject, retreat, and all that doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. And they had sheer numbers, so I don't think time frame was was of the essence, or even mattered to them.
I'm trying to figure a way to justify why they didn't fly in and fly out. Maybe they had to be more meticulous. No, because if you're going up and over a building, you could have just blown up the building. Yeah, the only way to make it make sense is if they were trying to conserve fuel.
Yeah, but it takes a lot of fuel to pull your heavy ass up using a winch still. It doesn't matter.
Not really. It's more if your engine's already running, it's part of the torque you're going to use to move forward, right?
No, because you're no longer just moving forward, you're moving straight up vertically.
Mhm. I was just thinking because like a PTO, like similar to my bucket truck. I
Mhm.
figured that you turn the PTO on, it's using the engine, you're using the torque,
Right, but it
use the
uses
same
still
amount just to pull yourself forward.
no, it's
But even still,
it's
how are you going to get how are you going to get a winch and fire it forward? I'm trying. You're right. I'm trying to apply logic when there doesn't need to be logic. My only thought is they were trying to conserve fuel. That's the only thing that makes sense. But it makes no sense for all the other gadgets at all.
right. So it
Yeah,
doesn't matter, man. I mean, train wreck of a show, dude. This was a train wreck of a show, is what it was. Like,
they didn't. They should have extended. See, here's the thing. I I know what I'm saying, but when it leaves my mouth, I don't mean it. I'm gonna say it anyway. But just know I don't want this. They should have made it 26 episodes for the second season, simply because they would have been able to keep the story style as before and flesh things out a little bit better.
I don't
You'd have
think
more time.
you could have done this with a 50 episode season 2, and I don't think it would have been matter. I don't think it would have mattered one bit.
Really,
I do not. I do not. They 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 went the Truman Show route.
yeah, I still don't understand that. Like, is
Right?
it a play? Is it
It's like they went from one, like the world was trash and there's actually other people there and there's a big secret or whatever, and to an entire thing, and then it's like, wait a minute, all of a sudden, like, and towards the end, like, all this other stuff starts appearing, all this other stuff just starts randomly coming out, like, no problem. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this one thing, and all of a sudden, oh, the clouds are finally clearing and I can see all this up there. Well, poo. And
what
it
about
doesn't
that
make sense
machine that
because
turned
in the
everything to
in
sand?
season 1, right? If it's
They
supposed
were
to
in a
be
dome.
enclosed, if they're enclosed, right? In season 1, where the hell did that satellite come from?
Well, no, so okay, so the satellite, I figured this one out. The satellite landed outside the city, outside the dome.
Which one?
The one he was at?
The one that everyone was in? That the
No, no,
entire city was in?
no. It's the outside of that.
Outside of that dome? That no one ever actually went outside because they didn't know that there was an outside to that one that they were in?
Yes, that one.
Okay. So it went out, came from outside of that, crashed
Hmm.
through that,
Nope,
and
nope. It never entered.
never oh, okay. So what you're saying is it just spontaneously transposed from outside to inside while
Nope,
maintaining speed. Okay, so
nope. So season one, people were
mhm.
like, "There's nobody outside." Season two, they forgot about that, and we're like, "Yeah, the ruffians are outside."
No. What are you talking about?
In season two, there was inside the dome where
Uh-huh.
everyone had a bunch of money, and outside the dome where the slums were at,
That
where
was season
the
1 as
rabble.
well. That's both season 1 and 2. I'm saying the dome that they're in.
Hmm.
Not talking about the one where the money. I'm talking about the dome where their domes are.
Guess what I was trying to say was in the beginning, it was implied or even said that there was no life outside of the domes, right?
No, that there was no life outside the cities.
Cities, yeah. And I maybe it was my assumption that did it then because I assumed inside the cities where the dome was, and then outside the city there was no dome,
No,
and
they had
they like exiled people and whatnot. But I
no,
mean, it
they
makes sense if that's part of the dome as well.
yeah,
But
but
then it
no one
doesn't make any
knew
sense
about
why
those. Right? It was
the satellites or the
all
domes.
like a project or something like that or whatever.
Maybe there's a time skip, or like I said before, perhaps the writers forgot
I feel
as I
like
assume.
I feel like they were just like haphazardly and quickly trying to rectify it because
Yeah, yeah.
they wrote one story and they're like, well, this is kind of trash, because you have the domes, you have the normal domes, they're being constructed or worked on and everything like that. It's just like in
Yeah.
season 1. Outside
Mhm,
the domes, you have the trash cities and everything like that, and everything
mhm.
like and everything else going along with it, right?
Yep.
Then at the end, like, you have the domes that are apparently in this one giant dome that goes up beyond the clouds.
Then maybe it broke through that prior
That's what
to
I was saying. Like, It broke
Anyone noticed?
through, and how did it break through without destroying all those giant spotlights that are up there and through the scaffolding all the way through?
I mean, it threaded it was a perfect trajectory, and it threaded the needle.
Okay.
So maybe, when they got that android, that old android's memories,
Mhm.
in those memories, they had the trajectory or the assumed path, and they're like, okay, let's just shift the ceiling, open a hole here to let that through to avoid damage.
You know what? Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, right? Maybe the satellites was in season 2, and the two are just total trash, and it just melds in my mind.
Well,
Maybe,
season two, the satellites were called angels. Like they thought they were angels falling from heaven,
yeah.
and in the piece of the angel that was recovered said hope on it, and it turned out to be satellites. So it was season two.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. Well, it's still trash no matter what. I mean, like, so it makes it even worse, right? It makes it even worse that they contradicted themselves in the same season.
I mean,
It just makes it that much worse. Cause I was like, there's no way. Like, I watched it, and it's like, I took my time watching it. So I spread it out over quite a few days.
I didn't. I binged that so hard. Like I
And
watched as much as I could off a high dive, and then I went to 13 episodes.
well, yeah, no, I binged season 1, but I'm saying for season 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I spread that out. And so that just means that because in my mind, I'm like, there's no way that they would contradict themselves in the same season, right? There's no way.
Oh yeah.
But they did multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
constantly doing that several times throughout the series. It was like one contradiction versus another with another with another with another and another. And then it's like, all right, you have the Megaduce, and people are like, oh well, we'll figure out how to do this and memories and everything like that. And they try to make the memories this far bigger thing than what it actually is. And you have like entire discussions and things like that revolving around memories and the outside world and everything having to do with it. And
And the
it's
foreigners, and
and and and all they did was just make it worse.
they made it harder to understand.
Like,
They made it extremely hard to understand.
they introduce characters that kind of bear weight, but then at the same time, 2 seconds later, bear no weight, have no substance to them. And then they take a character that was supposed to be pretty magnificent or substantial in season 1,
Lost
and
all value in season two.
yeah, like with like next to
Like they
no.
didn't have the storyboard. They didn't have like it's like they lost the plot, and then a fan was like, "Hey, I watched this before. I want you to do it again." Well, okay, let's watch the first season. No, you don't have to work. You don't have to watch. I'll tell you about it. And then they got the plot for the second season, and they're like, "Okay." And then they forgot a bunch of shit and added more crap, and then they're like, "All right, we want to button this up because this is going to be a closed season." The good news is they gave it an ending. The bad news is it was a shit ending. So, like, I understand very little about the inner workings of how this even came to be. I can appreciate the artwork. I can appreciate the artwork.
I can appreciate. I mean,
The inconsistencies are impressive. Like you have to work that. You have to work real hard to mess that up to that degree. But
I mean, look, they reference 3. They're like, oh, the big 3. You only ever see 3, and everything like that for the robots. And another
mhm,
inconsistency is you're introduced to another robot with the number 17 on it.
mhm.
And does that mean
You
that
mean the
there's
one that can turn shit to sand
yeah, that
just by
is
touching it? The
yeah,
whole building,
yeah, that one, right? Yeah,
like it'll
that's like
scratch something, and all of a sudden, like an infection, this it'll spread and
yeah,
dissolve
that's the one I'm
everything.
talking about. Now let me finish my thought.
Right, go ahead.
Uh, which leads me to believe that there are at least uh
17.
no 13 more,
Oh,
and
yeah.
assuming that they decide to make it around 20, right? So 16
Mhm.
more different robots that are out there, each one of them serving a different purpose, because at least the big O's, each one, oh sorry, hang on, 15 more robots, all right, because each one serves a purpose, right? Or is specialized in something.
Okay.
So Big O, his specialty is hand to hand combat, is what I'm getting, and then you had the one from season 1, where the
Mummy
Scarecrow
Fat.
did it, which
Yep.
was a plane flying.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had the other one that that was going on with what's his face, with Alex Rosewater, and his
Mm-hmm.
was all about swimming. Like how his
Yep.
was used was how it was used, and how the look and design is says submarine to me.
Yeah.
Like
I can agree
100%.
with that.
That's what it says to me.
I agree with that.
So you have the dragon, which is like a sand, turns things to sand and swims through the
Mhm.
sand. So does that mean, and then obviously it had 17 on its body, but does that mean that we were like kind of shortchanged?
I feel like the only thing that makes sense, up to and including the very end, the acid trip of a memory, the mental breakdowns, the inconsistencies in abilities, it's all a video game. And Angel is the moderator, which is why when she came through the plane and started mobbing through everything and deleting everything, clearing everything out, like, okay, this game has turned to crap. The AI system's bugging out. Wipe it out, start over, that kind of thing. When she activated her moderator status, it makes sense because you don't. There's no such ability that I can think of that would explain how you can convert glass back to sand, concrete back to sand, iron bars into sand, and then it spreads like a virus and consumes only what you want and not the ground. Or
Well, hang
it
on.
consumes the ground. Good.
That was only for the robot labeled 17, and that was only
Correct.
there
Yes.
for a thing. What
Yeah.
happened wasn't back to sand and wasn't being wiped out like that. What it was everything just was slowly vanishing into nothingness. And then you had something like out of Star Trek, a holodeck just appear wherever they were. And
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. I
and then
think the
at the
whole
very
thing was a
end, you
holodeck.
still had Dorothy and Roger go into this
Mhm.
one random room, and instead of the
Mhm.
book saying
Mhm.
Alex Rosewater or whatever, right? You had the book and it actually said Angel Rosewater or whatever on there.
Mhm. Indicating she's the daughter. She was the true daughter, whereas Alex Rosewater was the the clone or the surrogate son.
Right.
But
So
it
thank
also
you
made you
for
think,
I mean, like honestly, I wanna just real quick. And at the beginning, you were you were so dead set against him not being one of the children, eggheads.
I was because it made you couldn't tell me until our conversation here to explain how that leap would have made sense, not how that train of thought would make sense, and then bringing it up like it. Now I didn't when they showed the book, I didn't realize that the name changed. I just saw an A Rosewater, so I was like, oh, okay,
Yep.
kind of weird they've got that there.
Angel
Then it
Rosewater.
changed from Alex to Angel.
Yep.
I mean, that makes sense, but that would also indicate that a lot of people, contrary to popular belief, remember what happened 40 years ago and are choosing not to remember it.
Yeah, but at the same time, you had like, oh, dude, sit there and tell you like, oh, no one remembers anything from 40 years ago or anything like that. It's like,
Hmm.
so I mean, like, there's conflicts within the conflicts, for more conflicts.
Yeah, they should have had somebody down and proof all this stuff and be like, all right, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This is a cool concept. We can keep this. That doesn't make sense. This contradicts the other thing we're trying to make sense over here for. So get rid of that. Like they should have, it would have been nice to have more consistency. There's so much potential. Batman is an amazing character to write with because he's so versatile. Roger Smith, very similarly equipped. Prep time is an amazing thing. And Big O is literally a Deus ex machina. Literally, anything you're going to need, this robot's going to do. For no other reason than because. Literally no other reason than because. Like at the very end, he ends up creating this mega gun that's a one-off that he didn't know about before, but all of a sudden you call out the weapon name.
Well, it's because he finally remembered his owner's manual.
Are you joking right now? Are you serious?
That's the only explanation that I can come up with.
Okay, thank God, because I'm like, did I miss something big?
Yeah, he remembered the
Is that-
owner's
that-
manual. Like, bro, don't you? It's total. It was there in like episode 5, right, of season 3.
You're
Like,
fucking with me. Okay.
like when
I'm
the
like-
when the homeboy comes
I'm
in,
over here like,
when the guys come in, they start repairing Big O for him because he contracts that shit out. He put out a Craigslist ad or something like that for it. And they come in, they're doing all the repairs and everything like that. Like homeboy's like, oh yeah, I totally remember this, while he's flipping through the owner's manual. He's like, that's right. I could totally do this one thing and just demolish this entire area like it's nothing and still have really bad aim and miss my primary target.
yeah.
You know?
To the
mean,
to the left. My aim is just slightly off to the left.
Well, in his case, it was slightly off
To the right.
To the right.
Well, I mean, I was going off of the target's perspective.
True.
Oh, but I mean, yeah. Like the only thing I can think of that would make this whole thing make any kind of sense is Angel's the moderator. She remembered she was the moderator, wiped everything out, and at the very end, like came to an understanding with Roger, combined, and then made their world back to what they wanted it to be.
Which was a total trash heap in Desolate World.
Hey, abuse victims go back to those who abuse.
Oh.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Okay.
If I want trash anime, I'm gonna go see trash anime. It's gonna keep drawing me back because I want to understand.
While you try to figure out what
I got Stockholmed.
You go ahead. I'll let you live in that world, man. I'll let you stay there. All right. So I think this is a great spot for a rating, sir. On a scale up to 10, how would you rate this?
Well, my Stockholm says 10. That said, given what we've got here, do you remember what I rated the first season?
Yeah, you gave it like an 8.
Yeah, this is gonna be like a 5, 4, 4. This is a 4, and I'm being generous, I think, with a 4.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. I mean, like, would you like to elaborate on why you're giving it a 4?
Sure. I'm giving it a 4 because the story was so convoluted, it hurt. Animation style was still pretty good. I liked the differences in abilities, and I was a fan of all the other abilities that the Big O started to have. I thought it was kind of crap. It was good to watch, but it was a crap storyline that someone decided to combine everything and then rip out his maid's brain essentially to be the control switch. And then after ripping out the brain to such an extent that it's irreversible, mind you, they did say that, oh, whoever did this ripped everything out. We can't repair it. And she came right back.
Oh yeah.
Roger Smith
Hey, sir, you need to remember
Mhm.
something. Like they explored about the possible relationship of love between Dorothy and Roger, and her love for Roger brought her back because he loves her too.
That opens up a whole other can I don't want to get into. Because it's just, it doesn't help. It makes the score worse. It does not help to fall back on a trope like that.
So I remember I gave the last one a 4, and you were telling me like, hey, by the time Jack we finish watching season 2, you're gonna give it a 9. And you know what I didn't do? I'm not gonna give it a 9. I'm gonna give it a 2.
You're not gonna give it a 4 either.
No, I'm giving it a 2.
We both halved our scores.
Yeah.
I went from 8 to 4. You went from 4 to 2.
Right. I can't go with 1 because
one is reserved.
I mean,
one's
like,
reserved.
One is reserved for some kind of special. That's what that's what one is. I mean, like at least this one you can watch it and just go, yeah, this is trash, but at least it's enjoyable.
I mean, we can have a discussion about it. Even like ones and zeros are stuff that, granted, we'll try, but we won't be able to do anything. So yeah, I can agree with your thought process on that. I still can't quite give it a 2 because in my brain 2 is, if I took Sin the movie seriously, it'd be a 2.
And Sin was awesome, man. I loved Sin.
But it's awesome because we look at it as a joke.
It is such a great joke, dude. All right.
We look at it through satirical eyes.
That's beside the point. That is beside the point. All right. So you're going with a 4. I'm going with a 2.
Okay.
Next week we are going to
Sin Part 2.
No, we're gonna watch Bubble, a movie for the next choice. It's something I haven't seen. I went to the random site. I hit movie, and this is what it came back with, right? So that's what we're going with. Beyond that, I don't know nothing about it. I know it's on Netflix because I wanted to make sure we could watch it.
We could actually see it.
Wanted to make sure we
could
watch
go to
it.
a sketchy website,
right? Well, I mean, like all our websites are pretty sketched out, but same. So we're watching Bubble next. That's honestly all I got for today, sir. How about you? You got anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
No.
Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you feel like we got something right, something wrong, did it justice, did it too much justice, didn't do it enough justice, any point in between, feel free to reach out to us at featuredanimepodcast@gmail.com, at those anime guys on Twitter, Featured Anime Podcast on Facebook. Feel free to join our Discord, talk to us, hang out. We're always in there, or at least I'm always in there. We're in there chatting and goofing around and everything like that. Link for that's going to be in the show notes for you. And if you want to buy the anime that we were talking about, you want to buy Big O, I do have some affiliate links in the show notes for you. Feel free to click on it. If you do buy the anime, we do get a little bit of a kickback for it, and it is very much appreciated. However, if you choose to buy some of our own merch, store.featuredanimepodcast.com, you can get yourself some swanky swag there. Or if you want to support us through our Patreon and help us grow like that, patreon.com/featuredanimepodcast, and you can help us grow. You'll get access to the pre and post show, as well as our bonus exclusive shows that we do. We just recorded Quasar No Stigma, and it's some kind of special. And if you want to hear what that show is actually about, hear our discussions and thoughts on it, patreon.com/featured anime podcast. And until next time, I'm Jack.
I'm Rick. We'll see you next time.